All right, what's
That's
next?
how you get around those things. We had another vehicle reveal.
Okay.
Just amazingly, man, all this stuff coming out. Let's talk a little bit about the new Mitsubishi Outlander.
Okay.
Toyota, pay attention.
All right, now
here's why I say that.
Before you get into that, because that is a very interesting perspective to me. Jay brought something out before we went on the air about why he thinks this is a good move for Mitsubishi. So, do you remember before? I want to give you kind of a perspective. We're going to do a contrast and comparison here. Okay, so Mitsubishi was, I would say, almost in their heyday in the 90s. Do you remember the Montero? Remember what an aggressive-looking SUV that was? They were wildly popular in the 90s. They had the little Eclipse sports car. They had at one...
What was the 3000 GT?
Yeah, so
that
didn't that share some parts with the
Chrysler? It was
the
the
Dodge
Chrysler. The Dodge Stealth.
Yep.
That's right. So, but Mitsubishi is not part of Stellantis. They're not. They separated
but
themselves.
But they had.
So.
I mean, I've driven one of those 3000s, and it was fast. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think the Japanese production versions of anything that Mitsubishi does, Toyota does, Nissan, any of those guys, they're going to be a lot different than what we see here.
So then they kind of lost their way. And I remember when the recession hit in 2008, I was seeing a lot of Mitsubishi dealerships shuttered. They just turned into ghost towns. They shut down.
No creativity.
And
no creativity.
They really didn't keep up with the changes. When everybody else kind of changed their design styles, and a lot of it was focused on fuel economy. I just don't even know. They didn't really have anything in those arenas. Now they've made some significant changes. The least of which is they moved their headquarters here to my backyard, across the street from Nissan.
Yeah, that was a recent move too. So
right?
Now, folks, you got Nissan and Mitsubishi backyard.
So all of a sudden, they're making a concerted effort to show back up on the radar. And the timing of this is very interesting because of what you just alluded to, Jay, because we have previously talked on this program about Toyota being very quiet in terms of what they are up to that's game-changing, okay?
Yeah, all of this. Yeah, all in the same time, they're killing off models.
Right.
And we're like, what?
The Land Cruiser's going away.
The FJ's gone.
The FJ's gone. So now
there was nothing that replaced those things.
You have Mitsubishi going, hey guys, what about us? And this was,
we got something.
This was you go ahead and take it from there, because this is kind of your observation.
Well, I just, when I started looking at the specs on this thing and what they're doing, to me it looks like, of course it's not as big as the Land Cruiser, but it is something that could be a flagship for these guys, like that Land Cruiser or that 4Runner or that Sequoia. You know what I mean? So when I started looking at the specs on this thing, I noticed a lot of the things that they were putting in this that they had never done before was very similar to what we're seeing Jeep do. We're seeing Ford do it. We're seeing GM do it. All of these, they're going off-road. It is that... If you take a look at the direction that everybody is paying attention to, I know you guys are probably getting tired of hearing Keith and I say this, but when we were at SEMA in 2019, if you didn't get a clue as to what direction the aftermarket was going or the OE's going, then you just weren't paying attention.
All overland, off-road, truck,
stuff.
Jeep. Yep. So this thing's boxy looking. It looks kind of 4Runner competitive to me, current version of the 4Runner.
Yeah.
Definitely more aggressive than a crossover, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I was listening to, a couple of the engineers and the designers of this thing, and they have the platform, they call it, the concept is the iFood Auto, means authentic and majestic, whereas the older versions were seen as more casual.
Be careful, Jay. We don't want to get that explicit tag on Apple.
I don't speak Japanese, so that's the best that I have for you. But they came out with this thing. It has new drive modes in it, like normal, tarmac, gravel, snow, mud. Okay, very
there
similar
we go with
to
this goat mode thing, right?
Goat mode,
yep.
right?
Okay.
Everybody's doing this now. All these new drive and
GM's doing it in the Hummer EV.
Yeah.
Of course, the goat mode references to the Bronco. Toyota they had something kind of similar in my FJ, but it didn't have as many options.
That was your crawl.
Yeah,
that was
they called it crawl, but it was basically like sand, rocks, and ice or snow. But similar concept. So yeah,
have you seen the interior on this thing?
I have not.
Holy moly, man. Okay, so when I saw the interior, I immediately thought like 55 Chevy Bel Air.
Okay.
White leather.
Does it come with Elvis?
This particular model. It does not come with Elvis, man, but I'm sure we can find him when we're in Vegas. But it's got the diamond pattern. This is the elegance package.
That's their big, trademark.
Right,
yeah.
It's the big deal. But one thing I noticed, the other trend that I'm seeing with a lot of these newer, larger SUVs out there, not just EVs, and the EV market is doing the same thing, is that I think they finally figured out that people want to move around in the cabin a little bit more. And whereas before, if it's not a sports car, then why would you create a cockpit like a sports car?
Right.
I can get it for a Corvette or maybe a Subaru BRZ or something like that, or even the new Nissan Proto. But you're seeing the trend of where the dashes are more straight line. Mm-hmm. You have a lot more knee room and elbow room, just moving room, and a lot less in the way of blind spots. It's very interesting to me. But they went full on. They've got the 12.5-inch infotainment screen, and then they got a 9-inch navigation screen too, which I don't understand why you need two screens. But
if you're like me, you got one screen for side shot to push all the buttons while I'm driving and yelling at him to stop pushing buttons, and then and then the other one is
Well, that's why you're going to need their My Pilot Assist with Navilink sign and speed recognition, which you can take your eyes off the road for a minute and it does it all for you. So again, everybody in the industry is really, really sticking their chest out with the technology that they have available to give to their consumers. And it's important. This is we mentioned this recently about the Ford and Google combination, the pairing there, and technologies that go into vehicles these days, and why that was such a smart move for Ford, but also why it was such a good move for Google, is because this is where we're at now. And if you're an auto manufacturer, your specialty is not all of this technology. So go grab somebody that has the technology and integrate it into your vehicle. So they've done nothing different than anybody else, which is give all those creature comforts, the technology, the level of technology that it deserves. But they just didn't cram the same old stuff in it. They created there's a whole new engine platform. It's a 2.5 liter inline 4-cylinder. I think it creates around 190 horsepower. I mean, it's not a ton, but it's for what it is, it's enough. I didn't really see any towing specs on it or anything, and we'll get I think what we'll do is we'll have a future podcast about SUVs, new generation SUVs, and let's stack them up against each other, like say in 6 months or something, and see how they work into that off-road or overlanding crowd, which is going to work best. Is it going to be, will the EV market win that, or will you still have people like Mitsubishi that are putting out internal combustion engine platforms with greater technology? Who knows? We'll see. But I'm happy for Mitsubishi. It's something new for them. Again, it's just a larger, wider vehicle, bigger stance. They claim it's more elegant, more majestic, more just different than what the previous version was. And I did take a look at the previous version, and there's nothing appealing to me
Now-
about it. This has a little bit of a good look to it.
I
man, to me.
predict.
I mean, I like it.
I predict. Now,
Okay.
some of this is price dependent. They have to be price
Ladies and
competitive,
gentlemen,
right?
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here
But
first.
I do predict this is going to do well for them. I think the timing is right. I think that they are positioning this design and all the stuff that Jay just laid out in terms of the features and the interior. It is positioned to do well. It's
Yeah.
very appealing to a lot of to a certain market that a lot of people follow and have an interest in. And I think we're going to be talking about this again. That's my prediction. I think it's not going away. I think it's going to grow in popularity.
I think so, and and Honda and Toyota need to pay attention because they're directly going
Yep.
after the CRVs and the RAV4 crowd, and they'll win it because it is bigger.
And this is America. We like the underdog. We like to root
That's
for the
right,
little guy.
right.
So, yeah.
But this thing is like it's got a lot to offer, so you guys just stay tuned to that. And again, it's a 2022 year model. I don't have a release date yet. I don't see that anywhere, but I'm sure that it'll probably be around this fall for you to be able to get your hands on it. But yeah, third row seats too, by the way, in this little thing.
Which side shot
So it's-
would
it's a
ask
set-
and point to that
Right.
again, positioning them.
That's right, for that larger SUV
He
crowd.
constantly calls out these manufacturers that go and add a third row option maybe 2 or 3 years after a model change
Look.
to accommodate those demands, right?
They are. The Japanese are paying attention to what the U.S. is
Yep.
doing, the Americans are doing with these larger vehicles. I mean, you saw Hyundai do it with the Palisade, and you saw Kia do it with the Telluride, which is basically
Yep.
the same
Yep.
thing, but they're third row seating, and it's just, if you haven't been in a Hyundai Palisade or a Kia Telluride, do yourself a favor. Just go down and test drive one, man. They are, I mean, for what they are, the price of that, and for what they're like $25,000 to $30,000 less than a Tahoe
Yeah.
or anything like that. And for me, they're just as roomy and reliable. I've owned a Hyundai now for nearly 12 years. Just a great ride, man. So anyway, yeah, there you have it. Congratulations to Mitsubishi.